swirling. So in today's video, we're going to be doing my first 3-round mock draft with trades. Hit the like and subscribe button if you're new, and do go on to enjoy. Let's hop into it. So as you can see, we are on the first and 10 mock draft simulator, link in the description below. I think I'm going to take this one a little bit more prediction based, but there's also going to be some opinion based ones here and there. So we're just kind of trying to merge both together. Las Vegas Raiders, you guys are going to have to wait. We got a lot of picks to get through, but you guys are going to have a couple. Fernando Mendoza, welcome to the Las Vegas Raiders. By the way, this Raiders team, really not that bad. A lot of talented pieces. Genty, Besh, Bowers, Trey Tucker, Jalen Naylor. Some young offensive linemen you really like here. Linderbaum, obviously, big addition. This defense has some pieces that you can kind of work with. This team could be pretty solid next year in general. But here we go. This is where the draft is really going to get interesting. It does feel like the David Bailey conversations are really starting to pick up for the New York Jets, and I guess it kind of makes sense. I still think you just take Arvell Reese here because of the talent and what you can get out of him. But I don't know, man. It does feel like there's starting to become a bit more of a trend towards picking up a David Bailey here, which you can see here. This is from website AOL. I'm not sure what that is, but here we go. Bailey is now the narrow -120 favorite to be the pick at number 2. Now, there's conflicting reports. There's all sorts of stuff out there about who might be the pick here, but I'm going to follow the trades here. I'm going to take David Bailey to the New York Jets and kind of see how that changes things up here. Now the Arizona Cardinals are up at number 3, and this is where we're going to get our very first trade. Lots of buzz about the Dallas Cowboys wanting to trade up, and I do think if Arvell Reese is here at number 3, the Dallas Cowboys will absolutely be calling for this pick because Reese, I just think Dallas would try to use him like Micah Parsons. I think they would just see Arvell Reese, play him off the edge, play him at linebacker a little bit. Lots of conversation about this potentially happening. I think it'll be 12, 23, 34, and Dallas will probably have to give up 112. I think this is probably what it's going to be, 12, 21, 12 for 3 and 34. I heard some earlier buzz that it would be 12 and 92 for 3. That feels very wrong. So, yeah, 3, 34 for 12, 20, and 112. Let's execute this trade. Dallas Cowboys are now up on the board here, and they're going to take Arvell Reese to be their new starting linebacker / premier edge rusher, too. Here we go, number 4 for the Tennessee Titans. I never really know where to go with this pick. I do think this is another team that potentially could trade down. The question would be who would want to trade up. I feel like a trade up maybe potentially for, I don't know, Caleb Downs maybe. With the new stuff that's coming out about Ruben Bain Jr. and the off-the-field incident that happened, I don't know if that's going to really cause him to fall a ton. Kind of feels like this is we're really just starting to get into the weeds of things now. But here at number 4, I'm going to actually go with a weapon for Cam Ward. I don't love the value here, but I am going to go ahead and take Carnell Tate. I can't really think of a trade down here unless it's the Bengals trading up to pick up, I don't know, Bain maybe? I guess that would be the only one I could think, but he might follow them at number 10. So why trade down? I'm going to go with Carnell Tate here to give a Cam Ward a legitimate weapon. By the way, when we get to rounds 2 and 3, I'll really pick up speed. Right? We're going to think through these first round picks. All right, number 5, New York Giants. There was some buzz around Jeremiah Love there for a little bit. I do think they'll like Sonny Styles. I've heard a lot of conversation about this also being a tackle spot as well. So another team that I think could potentially trade down here. Haven't heard a ton of buzz about a trade down for the Giants, but it does feel like if they're going to target in on one of these 2 tackles to play guard or right tackle and then kick Illuminor inside, then, maybe you trade back a little bit. But, then you run the risk of Cleveland drafting a tackle, and Kansas City's also there too. A lot of ways you could go. I think the team like a Rams, man, I think they would trade up to try to make a splash here. But I haven't heard anything about the Giants trading back, so I'm not going to do anything here. I'm going to go ahead and take Caleb Downs. I think he's the best talent, and I think with Harbaugh having Kyle Hamilton for all those years, he could be looking for somebody like that. A little bit smaller, obviously, but yeah, we'll take Caleb Downs. All right, here we go. Number 6 for the Cleveland Browns. I'm going to do, I think, another trade back here because I really feel like the Los Angeles Rams could really play this aggressive right now, and the Browns are in a spot where, Carnell Tate's off the board, so their top 2 receivers would probably be Mekhi and Jordan Tyson, but you're not going to draft one here at 6. And could you take a tackle here? Yeah, but you might be able to draft one of those guys at 13. And if you can't, then get Monroe Freeling and feel really good about it. So I'm going to do a trade back here to who I think really comes down to either the Cincinnati Bengals or the Los Angeles Rams. I think the Bengals could be in a, sort of a desperation move to get up immediately to jump Washington, New Orleans, and Kansas City to ensure they get what I would assume would be either Ruben Bain Jr. or Sonny Styles. And I think that might be a little bit more of a realistic one than the Rams because the Rams don't have another pick till 61. So I don't think that trade would make a ton of sense. Let's do a trade back here between the Browns and the Bengals. An in-division trade also kind of complicates this whole ordeal, but I think we can make this thing happen. You do what? 6 for 10 and 41? That'd be the pick. That would be, I think that's about fair. You move up 4 spots. The Bengals, because like here's the thing, if the Bengals don't move up from this spot right now at 10, which I guess Washington's another team they could trade back up to. So you know what? Let's wait on a Bengals trade. Let's do the Rams trade now because the Bengals, Browns is same division, maybe not. But Washington does need the extra draft capital, right? And it's a smaller trade up for the Bengals. So let's actually save that because the Bengals could be okay with either Styles or Bain in this scenario for the trade up. But let's go ahead and do a trade back here between the Browns and the Los Angeles Rams. I think the Rams are looking to be very, very aggressive this year. I think it'd be 6, 13. I don't think they'd have to give up a first round pick for next year, even though it might be like a back of round 1. I don't think it would cost them that, but maybe like a day 2 pick for next year. I could see. I don't know if they would necessarily. I don't know if the Browns, because they have so many picks this year's class, I don't know if they'd really want a pick this year. I think they'd want more picks for next year. So does that make sense? I feel like that does, because 27 is gonna be a hell of a class. And you'll get 2 second-round picks in a really good draft class, at least on paper right now. And the Rams move up to number 6 to go all in for a win now guy. I think we do that. And I think with the Rams pick here at moving up to number 6, we're to get this done here. The exact value might not be perfect, but I think this does. We'll throw in 251 too. Why not? Execute trade. I think now with the Rams up on the board here, I think that they would either go with Ruben Bain Jr. to add a stud next to Jared Verse and all those other guys, or take Sonny Styles here. And that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to take Sonny Styles here. I know the Rams don't like draft a ton of linebackers, and I get that. You know, you can 100% make the argument that they wouldn't draft Sonny Styles here. But you know, what's their weakness? Like, what are you trying to go all in on this year? Like, you want to win a championship. Like, what are you trading up for? You're not trading up for Mekhi Lemon or Jordan Tyson. You're just not going to do that. The offensive line is pretty good. I mean, you're not trading up for a right tackle here. What is the biggest, concern on your team? I mean, it's not really linebacker, but it kind of is. So, again, you want to go all in on championship. I think you just take the best player. And Sonny Styles is definitely in that conversation. I wonder if maybe running backs also in play here. Maybe you do go with Jeremiah Love and have a backfield of Jeremiah Love and Kyron Williams. It feels a little bit unnecessary, but let's take Sonny Styles here, which I know Rams fans are going to say, like, they don't draft linebackers early. I get it, but man, Sonny Styles is an absolute stud. And I think you want to go all in for a title this year. You get somebody who can be your green dot guy and just be a captain on that defense. Let's go Sonny Styles here. All right, another trade back. Washington Commanders only have 6 picks in this year's draft class, so they have to pick up more ammunition, and the Bengals are right here, and they want to trade up to get Ruben Bain Jr., who, let's just assume the off-the-field stuffs aren't that big of a deal. 7 for 10. I don't think it would cost them a second-round pick. I'm kind of thinking 72 is probably what it will cost them, right? You give up you swap your first. Would it be 110 maybe? Could it possibly be 110? I kind of think it could be. I don't know. I'm kind of like, I know this one's definitely more important because we are doing a 3-round mock draft. I think it would be 72. I feel like, we'll do 110. I think we'll do 110 because it's still it's basically a top 100 pick in a lot of ways. And you're just moving up 2 spots essentially. So yeah, let's do that. All right, Bengals are up now, and they will go ahead and take Ruben Bain Jr. here to give them a premier pass rusher who's, you kind of know what you're going to get from this guy. Him with Boy Mafe, with Murphy stepping up a little bit more, and then you obviously have Shamar Stewart still developing. So yeah, we'll do that. 8 is the New Orleans Saints. I would have maybe considered Jeremiah Love here, but not with this spot. I'm going to go Mansour Delane, give them a corner opposite of Kool-Aid McKinstry. Kansas City Chiefs up at number 9. Interesting spot here for this team. I'm kind of tempted to go with Jermon McCoy. I think they'd really like Jermon McCoy a lot. I don't think they would go for a right tackle here, even though, could they use one? Yeah, they could, but I think they're going to give Jalen Moore an opportunity out there and kind of let him sink or swim next year. So I'm going to go with Jermon McCoy here. I think McCoy really proved himself at his pro day. Looked smooth, ran well, and I think this Chiefs secondary just needs talent. So let's go Jermon McCoy. Washington's up at 10, and they get Jeremiah Love, somebody who they probably would have taken here with their 7th overall pick. They get Jeremiah Love, pair him up with Jaden Daniels, and they get an extra, early 4th round pick. So, yeah, good for them. All right, Dolphins. We're going to be talking a lot about this team because how many picks do they have in this one? They got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 picks. So, we're going to be talking a lot about this team. I think you just go best player available here. And I like Fano a bit more than Maui Noah, but he's a true tackle in my books. So, but at the same time, like, do you really want to go with Maui Noah after what happened to Jonas Savaiinea? Kind of these bigger, but Francis has excellent feet. Let's go Francis. Kick him inside to play guard, or tackle long term. I don't know. Arizona's back up at 12, and initially, this was the number 3 overall pick. But I think they're totally happy with how this board fell because you have Spencer Fano right here, who is your plug-and-play right tackle. I think they would consider a tackle here at number 3. So I think you're in a really good spot here if you're the Arizona Cardinals. You picked up a second first-round pick, by the way. So we'll get to that pick here in a second. And, yeah, you get Spencer Fano still out of it, so good for them. All right, Cleveland's up with their first pick. Obviously, this was the trade back with the Los Angeles Rams. Rams trade up for Sonny Styles. I get it. Let me know in the comments. They don't do that. They don't do that. Shut the hell up. I don't care. I love you guys, though. 13, Cleveland. I'm kind of tempted to go with Jordan Tyson here. I think that he could be somebody that Shador really likes early on. Obviously, the Colorado connection, too. I don't know if those guys, I don't know if they play together. I can't remember that, but I think they may have for 1 year. Let's go Jordan Tyson here. Let's give him a premier weapon. You could talk me into Vega here, but they really did a good job with that interior, right? You're not going to replace Zion Johnson. You're not going to replace Elton Jenkins. Could he replace Tevin Jenkins? Possibly. I mean, that's a possibility, but they need more of a guard there, or more of a tackle than a guard. So let's take the receiver here in Jordan Tyson, who I think the Browns will like Tyson more than Mekhi Lemon. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think that'll be what they do. 14 is the Baltimore Ravens here. If they did not pick up John Simpson, I actually would have considered taking Vega Ione here, but I feel like you got to add a little bit of some pieces on the defense. But I also have heard a lot of conversation about Kenyon Sadiq with this pick. It does feel like that's kind of where things are trending towards. So let's take Kenyon Sadiq here. Give him, I mean, damn near a receiver out there, but a second tight end opposite of Mark Andrews, a different play style, a ton of upside, and it could be your future tight end 1. I mean, he will play the Isaiah Likely role, just probably much better. So yeah, let's do that. 15 is the Buccaneers here. One of the hardest picks in the class every single year because they're just in such a dead zone right here for what their needs are, because their needs are linebacker and edge, but you're not going to get a premier one. I've done Akeem Mesidor here a ton, and I'm always like, man, I don't love that pick because it just feels a little bit early for him. But it's also like, do I go with a guard here? They've had some injuries on the offensive line. I feel like you're good there when they're healthy, but, do you just take the guard and just get a good football player? I mean, that's possible. Receiver, I mean, Mekhi Lemon, Emeka, that's they kind of a little bit redundant in some ways there. Denzel Boston, maybe, just give him that Mike Evans replacement of that big body type on the outside. I think that is a possibility, but I think I'm just going to be chalk with this one. I think I'll just go Akeem Mesidor. I just don't know what the Buccaneers are going to do with this pick, man. It's such a weird spot to be in. We'll take Akeem Mesidor, give them a something off the edge. All right, Jets was 16. They took David Bailey with their first pick. I think now Vega Ione is very interesting. I know they picked up Dylan Parham and you have Joe Tippmann, but Vega's better than those guys, straight up. He's much better. But at the same time, Mekhi Lemon's here. You got 2 safeties that are really good. I think we'll go with Mekhi Lemon here. Let's give him a receiver. Let's give, hopefully a young quarterback at some point, a really good trio of receivers. And their depth behind Garrett Wilson and Adonai Mitchell is pretty trash. So, yeah, let's do that. All right, Detroit Lions. You see, I don't know if they're going to be a Monroe Freeling team. I don't think they will be. There's been a lot of buzz around Peninsula playing that left tackle spot. And I feel like they're going to be much higher on guys like Blake Miller and Lomu and Ahianachor. Maybe I'm wrong with this one. I definitely could be. But I don't think Monroe Freeling would be their type. I definitely think Blake Miller's more of their guy. And this Lions team, they don't do what consensus is. So I'm going to take Blake Miller here. I know that might be a bit of a surprise here, but I think with what Detroit goes for, kind of just personalities, fits, culture fits. I'm not saying Monroe is not a culture fit, but Blake Miller for sure is. He gives off that Lions identity, and I think they'll fall in love with him. So I'm going to go Blake Miller here at 17, who, by the way, is a fantastic football player, so would be a good pick. 18 is the Minnesota Vikings. Vega Ione a little bit fallen here, which I don't love because I feel like he's going to be drafted very high. So it's like, where can I fit him in at? It's probably not going to be here either because they just drafted Donovan Jackson and they just signed Will Fries last off season. So it's like they're not going to take that. I think it will be one of those safeties, McNeil Warren or Thieneman. It's tough. I don't know who's going to go in front of who. I feel like they're 19 and 20 on our big board for a reason because it's like I don't know who's going to go in front of who, and it's like just stick them next to each other. I'm going to go with McNeil Warren. I just because I think the size is very intriguing a little bit more than Dylan. So we'll go with Emmanuel McNeil Warren here. 19 is the Panthers. I've seen offensive linemen picked here before, and I don't quite get those picks. I think their offensive line's actually pretty solid. Could they use a center? Yeah, maybe, but you're not drafting that on day 1. I'm kind of thinking about going I mean, do you just take the best offensive player and go with Vega? I mean, that's a possibility. I like the idea of Omar Cooper. I really like the idea of adding just a big physical guy on that defensive line here next to Derek Brown. Is it too rich to take Caden McDonald here? I don't think it is. I'm very high on Caden McDonald. I think he is an absolute just force up the middle. And with how the board is falling, I think we can take a receiver on day 2 because we have the 51st pick, and I think I'm good with like a Antonio Williams type of pick there. So screw it. I'm gonna go with my guy Caden McDonald. I think that this is a realistic pick. The idea of pairing up Derek Brown with Caden McDonald up the middle with the upgrades you made off the edge these past 2 off seasons, yeah, that'd be nasty. Arizona's up at 20. They took Spencer Fano. Man, Vega Ione is just staring at me right now, and it's kind of like, I know they picked up Isaac Suimalo. Isaiah Adams, like, is he stopping you from taking Vega? I don't think he is, unless, I'm just missing something. I mean, I'm not saying it's like your biggest of needs right now, but with how the board is kind of fallen right now, like, could I take Dylan Thineman to replace what we lost in Jalen Thompson? Potentially, but we also brought Andrew Wingard, who's, a good football player. And I think we like our young little trio of corners here, and not just trio, but, even the depth, they have some guys there as well. They could go linebacker, but again, it's like I'm not taking CJ Allen here at pick 20. So I'm going to go with Vega Ione here, who just happened to fall right into their laps, and I'm going to play him at right guard and feel very good about... And by the way, Isaac Suimalo is not going to be in the league for another 15 years. He's also getting up there in age too. Probably just potentially could be his last contract. So, I mean, having an offensive line next year, Paris Johnson Jr., Isaac Suimalo, Hajot, and then your right side is now Spencer Fano and Vega Ione long term. Like, that's freaking awesome. So, yeah, let's double down on offensive line there. All right, Pittsburgh at 21. Monroe Freeling is right here. And I know that Steelers fans, I feel like some of them still like Broderick Jones, but I'm kind of like, he hasn't been good. He's been pretty bad so far. And, I think you feel okay about your interior for the most part. I think you really like Troy Fatano long term. You added Michael Pittman Jr. The defense is pretty sharp. Let's go with Monroe Freeling here to play left tackle for you. 22 is LA Chargers. Now, I will say if the Chargers were wise, they would have traded up with Carolina to get Vega Ione. But do you trade up to pick up a guard? I don't quite think so. And there's another guard in this class that is unbelievable as well, in Emmanuel Pregnon, who I'm just going to take right here as well. I'm still baffled kind of with the lack of urgency from this Chargers front office, because they have a ton of cap space, and this offensive line is still not great. Like Rashawn Slater, Joe Alt, Tyler Biotish, really, really good. But then Trevor Penning and Cole Strange as your 2 guards is a choice. That's what I'll say. So let's go ahead and take Emmanuel Pregnon here, who fell to 22, and let's get an upgrade there at guard. Now with Pregnon in the fold, I mean, I don't know if he's going to play left or right guard. I guess you just I would prefer him at left and then keep Cole Strange at right guard, but that'd be a really good offensive line, right? So yeah, cool. 23, Philadelphia Eagles. I don't think that there's going to be an A.J. Brown trade until after free agency, or not free agency, the draft, I should say. I just don't think they're going to be interested a ton in a 2026 first, unless it's like a top 10 pick, then maybe they would. But I think they're going to be targeting something in 2027, which is, on paper and theoretically the better draft class. Plus, it's like, okay, if we make a trade with like a Chicago or somebody, not Chicago, but like I don't know, a team that might want AJ Brown and they just suck for whatever reason, then it's like, cool, we have a top 10 pick and, we're building the freaking OKC Thunder in the NFL. Here we go. 23, Philadelphia. I don't think it'll be Denzel Boston. I think they'll go Dylan Thineman here. Let's do that. 24, Cleveland Browns. We took Jordan Tyson with the first pick. Let's now look at maybe adding a tackle here. And I really do like Max Ahianachor. I'm going to go Max here and let him maybe sit behind Titus for a year and get some spot starts here and there, and then take over at right tackle eventually. Chicago up at 25. Would have loved Dylan Thineman here, but he's off the table. Maybe let's go for a premier pass rusher here. I shouldn't say that, but a good pass rusher. I think they'll really like Zion Young. Let's go Zion Young there. 26, Buffalo Bills. Let's go with I really like something off the edge or interior here. Let's go Keldrick Falk. I know he's not really the pass rusher they might be looking for, but there's not somebody. Gabe Yakis, actually. Yeah, let's go Gabe Yakis. Yeah, why not? Gabe Yakis. These 2 guys are going to go very high in this year's class. I think we gotta stop underestimating these 2 dudes. 27, San Francisco. Let's go with adding. Let's go Caden Proctor, left tackle, long term. 28, Houston Texans. Offensive line is kind of slowed down here. Could we maybe get some Keelan Rutledge, Chase Basantes love in the back of round 1 here? It's possible, but I'm gonna actually wait on that. And could I do a trade back with Ty Simpson? Who should I do it? Who would trade up for him though? It would have been Arizona, but they don't have their early second round pick now. So it's like, okay, well, who's the competition? Let's just keep the pick here. No trade. Let's do Keldrick Falk. I think Keldrick Falk on this defense could be pretty fun. 29, Kansas City, by the way, great fit for Keldrick Falk too. Kansas City went with Jermon McCoy with their first pick. Let's now give Patrick Mahomes some help here. And I really like the idea of taking Denzel Boston here. Let's go Denzel Boston. Give him some size. 30 is the Miami Dolphins. They took Francis Mariano with their first pick. And now I think they're going to go ahead and I think they'll take a corner here. Let's take Avion Terrell. They got to start to work on that secondary. All right, New England up at 31. A lot of stuff going on with their coach, man. We'll see how that goes. Let's go TJ Parker here with them. And the 32, Seattle Seahawks. Let's go corner. I think they'll really like Chris Johnson, so let's go Chris Johnson back of round 1. All right, really going to speed things up, kind of like we did towards the back end. Let's get rolling. 33, New York Jets. They took Bailey and Micaiah Lemon, like that class so far. Let's go ahead and take what I want here. Something on defense. Let's look. Could even add safety to the fold too. Let's go with, because we didn't take Arvell Reese, usually it's a linebacker early. Let's go CJ Allen here. Give him a linebacker. All right, Dallas up at 34. Dallas probably would like CJ Allen, but it is what it is. You got Arvell Reese in the fold. Love that pick. He does so much for you. Let's add a corner here. Let's go Colton Hood here for the Cowboys. Really liking what the Dallas Cowboys have done so far. 35, Tennessee Titans. They went Carnell Tate early on. Now let's go. Is this a Chase Basantis spot? Because to the best of my knowledge, I don't think they have signed their right guard from last year. And I don't love Cordell Volson starting for me. So let's go ahead and take Chase Basantis here on that offensive line. Really help out our young quarterback. 36 is the Raiders. Welcome back, Raiders. Fernando Mendoza. Welcome back, Omar Cooper, the Indiana duo. That went perfectly for them. 37, New York Giants. They went Caleb Downs early on. Now, I think let's go receiver here in KC Concepcion. Some of these receivers fell a little bit, and that's great for these round 2 teams. 38, Houston Texans. They went with Keldrick Falk. Let's now go ahead and look at the offensive line. By the way, you could have talked me into Ty Simpson here at 33. I just kind of thought about that now, but sure, we'll rock with it. Let's go with Connor Liu here, because our center position is still kind of, it's actually, let me rephrase that. Maybe that's not the worst thing here. Let's go Caleb Lomu here and maybe play him at right tackle long term and see how that goes. 39, Cleveland Browns. Could they consider Ty Simpson here? Oh man, I have a feeling though, if I don't draft Ty Simpson soon, he's just going to fall down the board. But you know what? That can happen in draft classes, man. It definitely can. If you're not sold 100% on Ty Simpson being a starter in the league, he doesn't go early on. So 39 Browns, they went with Max and Tyson. I like the idea of adding a pass rusher to this team, giving something opposite of what they have in, obviously, Myles Garrett. Let's go with Malachi Lawrence here. Really good pass rusher. Lots of upside. Chiefs up at 40. They went with McCoy and Denzel Boston. Like on that. Caleb Banks is falling here. I think that gives them somebody who can be your long-term Chris Jones replacement. 41 Bengals. I think they would have absolutely loved Caleb Banks, but he did not happen to fall to them, which is fine because you have Ruben Bain Jr. And I'm thinking about taking Lee Hunter right here, man. Just completely overhaul that front four. But I'm also like, they also could really use like a true just stud linebacker. And I'm liking my options here at linebacker right now. How many picks do we have? Do we have that third? Okay, we still have the 3rd round pick in this class. I think I'm going to go with Jacob Rodriguez here. I think Rodriguez is going to be the 3rd or 4th linebacker off the board. I think he will be, and I think the Bengals would love to have him. All right, 42 is the New Orleans Saints, who went with Mansour Delane. Don't need a quarterback here, but we could use a pass rusher. I think R. Mason Thomas is going to be higher on boards than Cassius Howell, although I could be wrong. I'm going to be wrong. Let's go Cassius Howell. 43, Miami Dolphins with Maui Noah and Avion Terrell. Don't think they'll take Ty Simpson. I think they're okay at quarterback. I think they have to just continue to tick off needs at this point. I need a receiver. Who's here at wide receiver for this team? Chris Brazzell is interesting. I think Chris Brazzell he gives you Christian Watson vibes a little bit, and I think that would be a good fit for Malik Willis. All right, Jets at 44, Bailey, Lemon, and CJ Allen, liking that. Well, Ty Simpson's here. Let's take Ty Simpson. Let's get him off the board. Jets get a starting quarterback. 45, Baltimore Ravens, Kenyon Sadiq with their first pick. Let's add a dude up the middle who can get some disruption. Let's go Peter Woods. 46, Bucks going with Akeem Mesidor. Let's add a linebacker here. I think they'll like Anthony Hill quite a bit. Let's go Anthony Hill from the Texas Longhorns. Welcome to the fold, Indianapolis Colts. This pick is easy. Give me a Lee Hunter up the middle. Atlanta Falcons, also welcome to the fold. I think you need a receiver next to Drake London. Let us go with, I like Chris Bell. Let's go Chris Bell there. Hopefully he's healthy. 49, Minnesota, they went with Emmanuel McNeil Warren. What's their center position look like? It is Blake Brendel. Is that stopping you from taking a center here? I don't know. What else do they need, really? I mean, could you go running back here with Jadarian Price, maybe? Yeah, let's do that. Let's go Jadarian Price. I don't love their running backs, by the way. So let's go Jadarian Price. All right, Detroit at 50. They went with Blake Miller in round 1. Our Mason Thomas is right here. You know, give him some. I mean, they're not a team that cares about the measurables, even though he's got a little bit of some shorter arms. They're not too short, but a little shorter. Let's go our Mason Thomas there to give him some juice off the edge. All right, we're halfway through. 51 Carolina Panthers went Caden McDonald. I think now, man, Christian Miller being here is a total snag. Could they use a safety? Not really. Maybe just add something off the edge. Maybe a receiver. Look at a receiver, actually. I think we talked about that. Yeah, Jeremy Bernard. Give me Jeremy Bernard. He would be perfect with Bryce Young. 52, Green Bay Packers. I think they'll like Brandon Cisse a lot. Let's go Brandon Cisse. 53, Pittsburgh Steelers go Monroe Freeling. I wonder if maybe they could plan for life after Jalen Ramsey and start looking at potentially something in the secondary. I was thinking AJ Halsey, but I forgot they also brought in Jaquan Brisker, so it's like, they don't really need that. Could use a linebacker here. I'm not a fan of Patrick Queen, and there has been some trade buzz around that pick. Let's go. Is there a receiver here who I'm really liking with this spot? Zachariah Branch. When's their next pick? 76. They have two thirds. Okay, we could find a receiver there that we like. Let's go with the linebacker Jake Gaudet here, and he'll replace Patrick Queen because I think Patrick Queen is cooked. Philadelphia up at 54. They went with Dylan Thinnem in round 1. Now I think you just gotta go best player available. Am I right? Like, what's this team's need? Maybe something on the offensive line. Maybe just add talent there. There's been a lot of conversation about, you know, some stuff buzzing towards the middle here. Let's go with Jennings Dunker here and see if he can find a way on the starting lineup there. 55 Chargers. They went with Emmanuel Pregnon. Man, Christian Miller's right here in my face, and it's like him with Tyler Tart. I know this took Dalvin Tomlinson. I don't think that's stopping you necessarily. You brought back Khalil Mack too. Let's go with Christian Miller, who I think is an absolute beast, and for him to fall to 55 just breaks my heart. Jacksonville, first pick, they would have loved Christian Miller, but it did not fall that way. I think they also would have liked Jacob Rodriguez, but that also didn't fall their way. Is there a linebacker here? Josiah Trotter is interesting, but I don't know. I'm looking for more of that like coverage guy, kind of that Devin Lloyd fit. But Alua Khan kind of does some of that stuff. I think we could target Deontay Lawson in round 3 and feel pretty good about him replacing him a little bit. So we'll target that. I think they're okay in the secondary with, you know, how things are going to work with Travis Hunter there. Could you go with Eli Stowers here maybe and give like a legitimate weapon out of the backfield, or not the backfield, out of the tight end spot? Yeah, why not? Let's go Eli Stowers here for the Jacksonville Jaguars. All right, Chicago Bears, they have taken Zion Young. And AJ Halsey's here. Let's take an AJ Halsey. San Francisco went with Caden Proctor. Let's add something in the... What's their cornerback room looking like? I think they like Upton Stout a ton, which they should. Let's just try to find something on the defensive line. Something with some juice. Grayson Halton's interesting. Like, just sort of that disruptive interior piece. But he kind of does what Osa Digizua is going to do for them. Let's go with Derek Moore. 59 Houston Texans. Keldrick Falk and Caleb Lomu. This team's really good, man. It just comes down to CJ Stroud. Can he put it together? We need a center. Let's go with a long-term option at center. Let's go Connor Lew here. 60 Chicago Bears back up. They took Halsey and Zion Young. Let's just keep adding to this defense, man. Let's not stop. Let's go Keontae Scott here. More of a slot corner. Can, you know, give them some flexibility to play a little safety as well. I like that. Rams at 61. They made the trade for Sonny Styles, and they still have their second-round pick, which is sweet. Let's look at a receiver here. Give them a third option. Really would have liked to have seen, you know, one of these other receivers fall. But I'm okay with Skylar Bell here. I think Skylar Bell would be a really good fit for that Rams team. All right, Denver Broncos, welcome to the team, or welcome to the fold, I should say. They obviously picked up Jalen Waddle this offseason, so big addition for that offense. I think you're really set on your offense. Maybe you need a running back, but there's not one here I'm taking. Let's look at adding a linebacker. Trotter, sure, why not? All right, Patriots, they took TJ Parker round 1. Let's go. Man, this team's also like one of those teams where it's like, what do they need? I don't know. Maybe another receiver, maybe? Let's give them another weapon. Sure, let's go with, I think they're going to be looking for more of that, like, shifty or slot guy. Let's go with Antonio Williams here. All right, 64 Seattle Seahawks. They went with Chris Johnson in round 1. Some corners did fall, but they don't really need a corner right now. I think LT Overton makes a bit of sense here. I also think taking Caleb Tiernan and playing him at guard long-term could also make some sense. Let's go with Caleb Tiernan here. 65, Arizona Cardinals doubled down on offensive line here. Basically have a second-round pick right now. Spencer Fano and Vega Ione. Let's take now something, maybe a linebacker. Yikes. Nope. Interior defensive line. I don't think they've re-signed Calais Campbell yet. And obviously you do have Walter Nolan, who you were hoping for a big year. And they also brought in Roy Lopez, who had a good year last year. Still think we can maybe find something here. Grayson Halton is very much that disruptive piece. I'm looking for more of that big thumper. Let's go Dominique Orange here. Kind of be that third option off the defensive line. All right, 6'6 Titans, Tate and Basantes doubled down on offense. Let's now go back to the defensive side of things here. I don't hate the idea of taking Keith Abney. I know they really added a lot to their cornerback room, but, you know, is there a potential opening if Joshua Williams doesn't take a big step forward? Possibly. But I also like Joshua Josephs a lot. I think that's what I'm going to go ahead and do. All right, Raiders at 67 with Mendoza and Omar Cooper. I mean, do we just take his Indiana? We're tripling down on the Indiana guys. The Las Vegas Raiders are going to go D'Angelo Pons. Why not? They won a national championship together. That would be such a funny story. All right, Philadelphia. Thieneman and Jennings Dunker. I think things are lining up pretty nicely here for Keith Abney. Yeah, let's add Keith Abney. Let him play a little bit in the slot or on the outside. Obviously, Reek Williams there too, but Reek Williams only on a one-year deal, so it's not going to stop me. Houston, back up. Falk, Lomu, and Connor Liu, liking this big sort of beefy class they're bringing in. Maybe some juice in this receiving core. Like, they have some good weapons. Obviously, they're hoping Tank Dell returns to form, but I don't know if they have anybody who it's like, we just want to give this guy a screen and just let him go. Branch kind of gives them a weapon that they could really have some fun with. So let's go Zachariah Branch. All right, Cleveland, they've taken Jordan Tyson, Max Ihianachor, and Malachi Lawrence. Loving this class so far for them. Let's go. I mean, I think they're okay now at offensive line. I think maybe a right tackle is still kind of a need. But, like, okay, Hecht maybe at center if you're not in love with the Elton Jenkins pickup. But it's like you just paid him a decent bit of money. Parker's a guard. World is a tackle, but he's such a developmental piece that it's like, is it worth your time? Kalen Rutledge is interesting because, you know, we have Max who's going to play right tackle. You know, Titus is also in the fold. I feel like we got to get him off the board eventually. I guess also Titus maybe or Max could play left tackle. And then, you know, Rutledge can kind of find his way. Because this offensive line is not super young, right? And I think we could take Caleb Rutledge here. He's too talented. I've heard some first round buzz for this guy, which I think is a little high, but you know, we'll take Caleb Rutledge there. 71 Washington Commanders. They took Jeremiah Love with their first pick. Let's give Jaden Daniels another weapon on this offense here. Let's go Malachi Fields. Is he the difference maker we're looking for? I guess. Let's go Malachi Fields. Give him a weapon. All right, Bengals. They took Ruben Bain Jr. and Jacob Rodriguez. Loving this class for them. Let's go with something in maybe a wide receiver 3. No, nothing there. Running back. Mike Washington next to Chase Brown. That's kind of interesting. I don't hate that at all. What about tight end here? We could go Max Claire. Because Gesicki, like, how many yards do you have last year? Gesicki had 307. Yeah, let's go with the tight end here. Let's go Max Claire. Let's do that. All right, 73 New Orleans Saints. They have taken so far Mansour Delane and Cassius Howell here. Good class so far for them, just doubling down on defense. Let's maybe give our offense another weapon here because I don't really have anything outside of Chris Olave that you're like 100% certain in. So I think Elijah Surratt is interesting because he gives you some size and, you know, I think him next to Chris Olave and Devon Vele, I like that a lot. Let's go Surratt there. 74 Kansas City Chiefs. They have gone with Jermon McCoy, Denzel Boston, and Caleb Banks. Really nice class for them, too. Let's look for something off the edge, maybe. Romello Height is fascinating. He's not really the body type I think they would like, but he's got some juice. I think they'd much prefer Denai Dennis Sutton, who's 94 on our list, but honestly, I think he might be a little bit higher. So let's go with Denai Dennis Sutton here. All right, Miami Dolphins. We got 4 more picks for them. They went with Maui Noah, Terrell, and Chris Brazel here. I think we just continue going best player available. Let's, in some positions of need, let's continue to add to the secondary. I'm going to go with Traden Stukes here. A little bit of an older prospect, if I'm not mistaken. Let's go Kamari Ramsey. Gives you some flexibility to play safety or slot corner. I think I like him better at safety, but he can do both. All right, Pittsburgh's gone with Monroe Freeling and Jake Gallday here. Let's go ahead and look for a receiver here. Somebody who can kind of play on that underneath, give him some juice. And not Lane, not Hurst. These guys are too big. Deion Burks is interesting. Really athletic football player. 26 on the bench? Holy shit. That's unbelievable. Let's go Deion Burks here. All right, 77 is the Buccaneers. They have taken Akeem Mesidor and Anthony Hill. Really pick it up in the front 7. I kind of like that idea. Let's go with let's Let's go with Trent and Stooks here. Give him something in the secondary. I know they have some young guys already out there, but Stooks gives him a bit more size as well. All right, Colts 78. You have Lee Hunter now in the fold. I feel like you got to go something at right tackle, maybe. I think Jalen Travis is pretty good. Maybe something on the right side of the offensive line, maybe another pass rusher. I mean, we didn't really take anything there. Let's just pair up the Texas Tech guys. Let's go Romello Height here. Get some 2 Texas Tech boys. All right, Falcons went with Chris Bell in round 1. Obviously, there's some stuff going on with James Pierce Jr., so I feel like that's an open lane for them to potentially go down. But there's not an edge here. I mean, unless you're like Kieran Crawford's kind of interesting. I actually just watched his tape yesterday, and I liked it. He's very much a developmental upside. That's like give him a couple years to get to where he needs to go to. But when I take him at 79, it's tough. It's really tough for me to do that. Grayson Halton's here, and he can kind of give us something in the interior here. Let's go Grayson Halton. All right, Baltimore Ravens up at 80. They went Kenyon Sadiq and Peter Woods. I like that class quite a bit. They need to replace their center, man. And, you have Danny Pinter, who, look, I'm not going to lie to you. I never heard that name once. Let's go Sam Heck to play our starting center for us. Maybe I'm a casual, though. All right, Jags went with Eli Stowers round 1. Now we could take Mike Washington Jr. to play running back for us. Kind of retooling around Trevor Lawrence there. All right, Minnesota Vikings have gone with McNeil Warren and Jadarian Price. Let's add, I think Darrell Jackson Jr. is a really intriguing interior piece that they could develop for a year or two. All right, Carolina Panthers with Makeda McDonald and Jeremy Bernard. Man, what does this team need? They could use a Bud Clark type of guy in the back end of their defense. He is an interesting player, but they also could use a receiver too. Oh no, we took Jeremy Bernard. That's right. Do I want to go Zakee Wheatley or Jeremy Bernard? Or I keep saying Jeremy Bernard. Do I want to go Zakee Wheatley or Bud Clark here? Let's see. Let's continue looking a little bit further. I like Devin Moore a lot. I like Davison Igmanoson. Do they need a corner that badly? If I'm going to get a corner, I'd like somebody who can play a bit in the slot. Chandler Rivers, man. He's ranked 77th on our board. I think he's damn good, but I don't think he goes at 83. I think he's going to fall a little bit. He's just a little bit too small. Malik Muhammad is probably an outside boundary corner. Let's go Malik Muhammad. I think they'll like him. All right, 84 Green Bay Packers. They went with Brandon Cisse first. Let's something on the defensive line if I can find something I like. I think they'll like LT Overton a little bit, but man, I think they're also like they want athletes out there at times, and he's not the athlete you're looking for. They need something, man. This is bad. Look at this. This is not a great defense. But there's nothing here, man. Who am I gonna go with? It's tough. Do I just take LT Overton and just say, do what you can? I don't think he'd be their type at all. At all. I don't think he'd be their type. They need a receiver, too, by the way. I mean, I know they still have Christian Watson and Matthew Golden and Jaden Reed. They're pretty good there, actually. And I don't know what to go with here. I don't know. I'm stumped with this pick. I can't lie to you. I'm a little stumped. I think I'm just going to probably go... I don't think they would like LT Overton at all. I can see them maybe liking Anthony Lucas a little bit. I'm absolutely stumped right now with this pick. I can't lie to you. I can see Deontay Lawson being their pick here because they did lose Quay Walker. Let's go Deontay Lawson. I don't know, kind of out of left field there, but we got somewhere. Pittsburgh, 85. They went Monroe Freeling, Jake Galday, and Deion Burks. Pretty fun class so far for them. Let's go somewhere in the secondary here. There's a couple of good corners that I like. Again, we have to kind of, prepare for life after Jalen Ramsey. I think Ramsey with Davison Igmanoson would be like the best thing for Davison. So let's go Davison there to learn for a year or two. All right, Chargers up at 86. They went with Pregnon and Christian Miller. I like that class a lot for them. Let's give them something in the backfield because they, if I'm not mistaken, they've been kind of diminished a little bit in the back end. Then they lose. They lost somebody, I thought. Maybe I'm tripping. Maybe I'm wrong, but let's go with the safety here. Let's go with Zakee Wheatley. I like Zakee a lot. All right, Miami, 87. Maui Noah, Terrell, Chris Brazo, Kamari Ramsey. I think you just continue going best player available if I'm not lying to you. Let's just do we go with Devin Moore at another corner next to Avion Terrell, somebody with some more size to him? Yeah, let's go Devin Moore here. All right, Jacksonville, 88. They went with Eli Stowers and Mike Washington. Let's look at safety and corner here. Safety and corner, because we did lose, I think, Andrew Wingard. And I don't think that free safety is necessarily like rock solid. Let's go with Bud Clark, man. Why not? Let's go Bud Clark. I love it. Chicago, Zion Young, AJ Halsey, and Keontae Scott. Here we go. What do they need, man? Interior defensive line is probably what I would say is their next big need. We haven't quite addressed yet. And Dante Corleone's here, who had a kind of an up and down year last year, but I mean 6 foot 340. It's tough to teach size. Let's go with the big boy. All right, Miami again. Maui Noah, Terrell, Brazel, Ramsey, Moore. Let's go with another receiver. I think Jacoby Lane is in. Ted Hurst next to Chris Brazel. Give him some size. Yeah, let's do it. Why not? Ted Hurst, man, tons of upside. Tons of upside. All right, Buffalo went with Gabe Yakis in round 1. I would like them to take a safety here. Kilgore's fascinating. Ooh, let's go Jalen Kilgore there. Yeah, let's see if he can find his way in that, kind of somewhere in that secondary, wherever they need him at. All right, Dallas at 92, Arvell Reese and Colton Hood. Don't forget they traded their 2 first to move up, and they picked up a 2nd, and they gave up their 4th round pick too. So Arizona has an additional 4th. But they got Reese and Colton Hood now in the fold, which is awesome, by the way. Really good. I don't think they have a ton of need. Maybe linebacker depth, maybe, is kind of what you'd be looking for here. Kyle Lewis is fascinating, but I think you need more of that thumper, right? I think they need more of a thumper, but they also can't cover worth a damn at all. Let's see, what else is here? LT Overtime, they won't want him. Rivers, maybe. I can see them liking Chandler Rivers a little bit, especially because they don't really have a slot corner. And Colton Hood's probably got to play more on the outside. But if you're going to bring Colton Hood in, then he's probably going to kick Bland inside. So I think you're okay. They don't need a center. They don't need a running back. I mean, maybe a RB2 maybe, but you're not drafting that here, I don't think. Parker's a guard. Unless you're going to kick Smith in outside, then maybe you draft Parker. Maybe. But you also have TJ Bass. What else? What else is here? Genesis Smith, he can't tackle to save his life, but he can cover. He can definitely cover. That's one thing you can't say about Genesis Smith. He can cover. But I don't think that'll be the pick here. Will Lee is interesting. That's interesting. I'm kind of struggling with this pick because I think Dallas did a good job with linebacker and corner. I think I'm just going to take something here at linebacker or edge, and I think I just might go Kyle Lewis. He can cover, man. Straight up. Let's go Kyle Lewis. Why not? All right, 93, LA Rams. They went Sonny Styles and Skylar Bell. Love that class so far. LT Overton is here. I think they could maximize his potential. Let's go LT Overton. 94, Miami Dolphins. Do I just need to keep going? Maui Noah, Terrell, Brazel, Ramsey, Moore, Ted Hurst. Keep going, best player available, man. Let's just keep stacking bricks here. Let's go with Michael Trigg. Give him a tight end. All right, New England Patriots at 95. They went with TJ Parker and Antonio Williams, 2 Clemson guys. Let's look at linebacker here. Torian York. I don't think York's going round 3. Jayshon Barham is interesting. Tons of upside. Caleb Alarm's Orr is also fascinating, but 95 does feel very rich. Feels quite rich, can't lie. Jonah Coleman, no. Give me something in the secondary, maybe. Chandler Rivers, maybe. Julian Neal. It's tough. Let's go Julian Neal here. Why not? Just take some depth there. 96 Seahawks. He went with Johnson and Tiernan. I need a running back. Let's go Emmett Johnson here. Give him some juice. Although he didn't run the best of the combine, I should say, but when he gets downhill, he's pretty explosive, so we'll go with that. 97 Minnesota, McNeil, Warren, Darian Price, and Daryl Jackson. I think they'll like Chandler Rivers a little bit. Let's go Rivers. I know it's a little but yeah, why not? Size-wise, I mean. Philadelphia went with the Thieneman, Dunker, and Abney. Wow, nice class. Maybe a receiver. Well, they've just picked up 2 receivers, so they don't really need that. But maybe tight end? Oscar Delp, maybe? Yeah, let's go Oscar Delp. I think they'll like him a lot. 99 Pittsburgh. You went with Monroe Freeling, Jake Gaulday, Deion Burks, and Davison Igbinosun. Do you go quarterback here? Yeah, let's go Drew Aller. All right, last pick, Jacksonville Jaguars. Eli Stowers, Mike Washington, Bud Clark. Let's go with... How are we thinking about Jake Slaughter here? Hainsey at center? It's okay. It's good. I guess. Let's go Jake Slaughter. Fuck it. All right, here we go. I'm about to lose my voice. All right, guys, this is our first round mock draft. I'll let you guys look through this however you want to, and then I'll scroll down. Here is round 2, and here is round 3. You guys let me know in the comment section below, what are your thoughts on my mock draft with trades? Hit that like and subscribe button if you're new. We are almost to the draft, so stay tuned. We'll have a lot more content about the draft, and after the draft, we'll have plenty more. So hit the like and subscribe button, and I love you guys. Peace.